Hey, welcome back to the channel. Here at Known Motors, we're gonna talk about this red 1988 RX7 convertible that we have in the shop that we've been working on. Oh, for like the last month or so. It's been good. It's been a very good learning experience. A lot of frustration, but we have learned a lot and we have overcome a lot. And so we're just gonna kind of go over the things we did to the car and go out on a little test drive and see how much it's improved. I don't necessarily have any video of it before we did the tune-up, so I'll just kind of talk about it. So here is the beautiful 88 Vert that we got going on here. Like I said, we did a complete tune-up on it, so we got a couple new relays in the system, checked all of the electrical components, making sure that they're working properly. Brand new 640 cranking amp battery. That ended up being most of our headache, was that we were fighting a faulty battery. And with the ignition system on these cars, the ignition system needs to see 11 volts in order for spark to happen. And if your battery is only at 12.5 volts, the starter pulls all of the extra volts and you never see spark. Your engine won't run. So we were going around and around and around with that just to find out that it was simple. So I opted for a higher cranking amp battery. It's brand new. It works fantastic now. So this is an S4 car, even though it is a 1988. So it retains, all the S4 intake. The air pump has been removed, along with the air control valve has been removed. The charcoal canister has been removed. It retains the BAC valve still and a couple of the vacuum solenoids. So what we did was we pulled apart the entire fuel system, put new fuel injectors in it, all new fuel lines, new pulsation dampener, along with the new primary fuel rail. That we found a lot of little problems with that. We found that the fuel injectors weren't spraying properly. One of them was just a pointed spray, and that's not what you want. You kind of want it to fan out. So we found that. We found some junk actually in the fuel injector little screen it has that it fires through. Found some fuel lines that were questionable. We cleaned all of the grounds on the whole system. On these cars, the ground is insanely important. The ECU that is under the passenger side, under the dash, it is actually grounded to a point on top of the engine block, which I don't know if you can see it, but right in there on top of the engine block, there is a ground spot. That is for the computer. Then the engine is grounded through a larger ground strap, which is on one of the back of the bell housing bolts on the transmission. Then that goes directly to the battery. Then your front fuses, they're grounded to the body via the bracket. Your main coils, both of them, are grounded through the brackets, then to the inner fender. So the ground system on these RX7s is very, very, very crucial and could cause lots and lots of headaches just because they're over 40 years old now. So that they get corroded, and when they get corroded, they add extra resistance, thus pulling more electricity from your system itself and maybe not letting the car run as smooth or as well as it should. When I first got this car, I thought it'd be a lot quicker, but now it is. Now it's snappy. Now it revs fast. It revs quick, and it's phenomenal. While I was in there, I had the whole intake manifold off. I redid the oil injector system. I was keeping that on here for just user friendliness. I always pre-mix my fuel anyways, just to add longevity to these engines. we found the use of all of these plugs. All of these plugs you see around the engine bay are test points for the electrical system itself. So there's 2 more over here. If you had a computer from the 80s, you could plug your basically sun-in machine to these outlets and see what the computer's doing in live time. We don't have one of those computers, so we were plugging it into our oscilloscope and using our oscilloscope to look at the electrical signal and kind of deter from there what we were seeing, what we weren't seeing, and so that kind of thing. We kind of jumped a lot of things. A cool thing that we did find was if you pull out your cam positioning sensor, you know, that's this dude right here, that is also your timing. If you pull that out of there, but leave it plugged in, turn the key of the car on, you can turn that cam angle positioning sensor by hand with the key on, and you could actually hear the injectors firing. And there'll just be like a little click. So it's kind of an easy way to tell if that your injectors are getting signal and clicking. Though that doesn't matter if your battery's dead. But anyways, so I timed the car, so now the timing is spot on, and it fires right up, and it loves it. I put all new gaskets on the intake manifold when we had it apart. We put a new fuel pump in it. That was kind of one of our preliminary things. We thought that the fuel pump might be weak, so we weren't getting enough fuel pressure, but that's not the case anymore. So lots of little things. We found lots of little problems, but ended up being the main issue was a weak battery. I mean, we could get it to work for a little bit as long as that battery was showing 13 volts, but as soon as it dropped down, it wasn't holding a charge. So unfortunately, it was easy. Just a lot of frustration. But anyways, let's go on a drive, and we'll do the fun part. Does have an aftermarket exhaust on it, so it's got a bit of a note to it, which is pretty good, I think. It's really quiet with the top down even. I would say this is the quietest convertible I've ever ridden in. I do think it's interesting that the hand controls are on the steering bezel and not the steering column. So we're just kind of driving around, let the engine warm up a little bit. Because I mean, you want your rotor to be hot before you're really getting on it. But it shifts smooth. Before it had kind of it had a stutter when you were holding constant throttle around between 2,000 and 3,000 RPM, which is most of the driving range. It was kind of stuttering. But now, since we went through the whole fuel system, it doesn't do that anymore. It's super smooth. It's smooth throttle all the way through the RPM range. So it's fun. It's a good time. With the independent suspension, I mean, it handles like a rail. RX7 convertible. It's a really fun car. It's fun to drive. It's snappy. It's quick. It's everything a rotary should be. It's everything a Mazda should be. So, well, until next time, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel.